Wake up, Tucson. It's your town. Get up and get involved. It's Wake Up Tucson with Chris DeSimone and Joe Higgins.
Hey there, friends. 7:07 in the morning. Just had a vigorous football throwing match with Gilbert Davidson and Rick Sturtz, who's filling in for Joe. Good morning to both you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Christopher.
Welcome back to the Power Hour, as we like to say. We only have, Gilbert has to get his beauty sleep, so, he's always here for the Power Hour. I know. But thanks for coming down. Before we get into the meat of Marana, remember we do have amazing week going on. Rodeo parades this morning. Rick told you it starts over at Park and Ajo and is going to whip around to the rodeo grounds. Roads are starting to close right now, as we like to say. The Fiesta de los Vaqueros, as Mr. Sturtz pronunciated. I don't know if Joe could say that.
No, I don't think so.
And then... and then we have, of course, there's this little thing called FC Tucson doing a great job with the soccer. I was out there last night. Almost 6,000 fans hit Keno Stadium saw Beckham. Very dreamy, Gilbert. He's very dreamy.
Did he bend it?
He did a couple of bends on corners.
It's amazing, isn't it? It is really amazing to watch that happen.
He lost a step or two because he's much old. He's older than he was when he was English Premier League. But this guy, calm in the eye of the storm. He does not freak out. He's
still in a league way above the rest of us.
You are correct. And he kicks a ball like someone would throw a football in relation to accuracy. It's like hitting these little top spin things that go right over your head and just stop right for the next guy. And it's pretty wild. So, and then there's a little play called the Accenture Match Play going on in Marana, Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
So they even got you right on the digital cable thing on the Golf Channel, live from Marana, Arizona.
Unbelievable turnout yesterday. I got a call in the morning. I was heading to a meeting, and we had traffic delays. We had backups because there were so many people heading out there. I think it was over 21,000 people that went out to the event yesterday. So that's phenomenal.
Excellent.
Well, I think the timing of it, me and Bill number 2 were talking about it, is Tiger had like an 11 o'clock tee time.
Yes.
So the crap kind of hit the fan at like 10:30.
Yep.
Is what it sounded like, and
huge crowds for Tiger, but it's just overall it's a phenomenal event, and the weather this year I think is going to be a home run. So
now I assume just from your discussions with the Accenture folks and stuff, are they have in the Conquistadors like corporate sales and who they're bringing? Is it bigger than it used to be, or how's that working? That's the key to this thing. I mean, it's great that Tucson has to support this thing. Don't get me wrong, but it has to be. They got to get their corporate sponsors in there.
I think they've had good. Certainly, the years that it's been in Marana and been in our region, there's been tremendous support from the corporate entities, and I think the Conquistadors do a phenomenal job with this event and bringing in people and the volunteers to make it all work.
Now, and then we got an extension on this thing.
Yeah, so they announced yesterday 2 more years, so that's phenomenal as well. So we're certainly excited to continue to work with them and make sure it's a successful event.
I was going to say, as a tourism thing for everyone, this is magnificent. An exposure thing. I mean, I got people in shorts running around on a golf course with cactus, and the Ritz does an amazing job. As my buddy Bill said, that grass is so beautiful, he wants to do grass angels in it.
Grass.
Now, what in relation to from the town side of supporting this thing? What are you guys responsible for?
So it's several months of advanced planning with the security element. Our police department's very much involved with the PGA folks and the Ritz-Carlton and making sure that it's a safe event. The whole traffic planning, making sure how people are going to get to the event, the parking. So all of the back end stuff of making sure people are able to get around the community and up to the event is help in partnership with the town of Marana.
And then Joe always loves the story about how many people are using the Marana Airport private planes and stuff like that.
I drove past yesterday, and man, there's some nice Gulfstreams and other jets out there. So they're all
Lear 10s sitting in the background,
all lined up out on that on the runway. Yeah, beautiful, shiny, beautiful jets. So.
Well, let's keep this beautiful, shiny city on the hill discussion going. What is, in relation to the future of Marana, there's so many cool things going on right now. World of logistics stuff in relation to the corridor and stuff you're doing in Pinal County in conjunction and things that complement what's going on in Pinal County. What does that look like for Marana in the next 5 years?
Well, certainly, I think the biggest opportunity that Marana has and our region has is really trying to develop the Pinal Air Park. That park's been out there for decades, and it has the ability to accommodate larger jets. And if we're able to design this thing in the right way and be in partnership with the Evergreen Center and with Pinal County, we could create that airport as a shipping distribution center. So from just the broad concept, but getting out on the ground out there, you could bring in companies that want to, stage product distribution. So 747s loaded with product could fly in, offload. This proposed rail project that's up in Pinal County would then be able to accommodate the transfer of product to the rail.
This is like a $50 million land buy, right? For the Picacho switchyard thing?
Yes, yep. And we just had a study session on that, and our town council is very much interested and wants to support the economic development efforts of the railroad. So you've got the interstate, I-8 is not too much further up the road. So just an amazing opportunity to create something that could be able to distribute product into Arizona and throughout the rest of the country.
Now, Marana's always been forward-thinking. Marana, 25 years ago, started their massive annexation plan, where they were grabbing all the land that they could possibly grab, and they're continuing down that path. Now, one of the parcels that you currently have right now that is actually in this morning's Arizona Daily Star, in a little article by Josh Brodesky, is the improvement of Silverbell, and the fact that is a City of Tucson, Marana, and Pima County roadway. And I really love this quote, that the estimate that is now $30 million over the original amount that was put in the RTA, that the estimate was not meant to be real. It was just intended to entice voters. Now, what do you think about a quote like that would be actually put out there saying that they're going to be floating bonds that are just out there to entice voters to be able to get them to vote, even though those monies might not be even possibly be real?
Well, I think that's unfortunate. I think in government, one of the most important things is how we manage our people's money. And when there's not a trust that you've got, whether it's elected or appointed officials, just the government in general is just throwing things out to entice people. That's unfortunate. I think with that project in particular, that's an important corridor. Every time I-10, there's, a backup on I-10, an accident on I-10, Silverbell becomes kind of the rollover.
The offload road. Right.
And I've seen that entire stretch road be filled with cars. So, developing that road and improving, it's in pretty bad condition in certain areas with potholes and whatnot. So it's going to be critically important that we improve that corridor for the future. Marana has, if you've been up in the Marana area, we've just completed another section within our town between Ina and Cortero. Beautiful 4-lane road with sidewalks and art projects and
it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Now, a question for you before we go to break, and then we'll get into all the other good stuff, all the fun stuff, bonding and wastewater and all that fun stuff. I always thought about this. The city of Tucson is famous for, and the county too, but we always talked about the underpass, the 4th Street Avenue, where it started off in like single digits, went to 15 million, 40 million, whatever this thing is. Is there some sort of stat that's kept by municipalities of how much it was, from overruns and change orders? Is there any kind of any organization that keeps stats on which municipalities are bringing things in under contract, anywhere close? I mean, or maybe that's a good business model for me and Sturts one day.
It might be a good business model. I'm not familiar with an organization that tracks all of that information. I know within organizations, certainly ours, we pay very close attention to what our engineers' estimates are, and then where the project comes in at, and then what the ultimate final cost is with change orders and whatnot. So we track all of that.
Okay. Well, Sturts, we just got ourselves a business model.
The analysis of reality of municipal spending.
There you go. I like it. We got it. We're going to make mint off of this.
The ARSP.
Can we put the word think tank anywhere?
Got to have an acronym with it.
All right. It's Chris and Rick Sturts with Gilbert Davidson, town manager of Marana, Arizona. We come back. We're going to get into all the fun stuff, wastewaters and HBs and all this good stuff. So Marana's making it happen, kids. They got a lot of opportunity, not as landlocked as Oro Valley would be. And Marana makes it happen, and they make it happen today, right now. I had a buddy of mine say, Marana's about today, Tucson's about mañana. So wake up, Tucson.
Intelligent talk about local issues. Somebody's got to do it. Tune in to Wake Up Tucson. Mornings from 6 to 8 on AM 1030. KVOI, The Voice.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys.
Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
Even with someone they love.
Little Waylon and Willie bringing us in on a rodeo parade Thursday. Gilbert Davidson, Marana, welcome back.
Thank you.
Have you been in the rodeo parade?
I have not been in the rodeo parade. You know, I grew up in Wilcox, Arizona, so we have our annual Rex Allen Days, which so over the years been to many Rex Allen parades.
What's the usually is that the spring Rex Allen Days?
October, so the first
October.
weekend in October. Yeah.
I have been to the Rex Allen Museum. It was one of the most amazing 12 and a half minutes I have ever been to.
You can get a lot in a short amount of time. Yeah.
They're still building the Marty Robbins Museum next door. I think last time I was there, so keep your fingers crossed. This Wings Over Wilcox thing, that's always a huge thing.
Huge thing. It's grown a lot over the years, yeah. So
what is that? Just I know we don't do Wilcox talk, but what is that for people who they should know about that?
Well, it's a great tourist thing for a weekend in January. So you go out and there's field trips out into the Dry Lake, the playa, and to different farm fields, and you can do bird watching and
it's like a crane,
sandhill
right?
cranes.
Sandhill crane, that's what it is. Well, thank you for talking to Wilcox Talk. Real quick, dog. You own a dog?
I do. We have two dogs.
What kind of dogs?
One's an Australian Shepherd,
Awesome.
and the other one's kind of a mix of different things.
And the name of these beasts?
Dottie and Lizzie.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, we're doing dog talk. We had to. We're helping Ed with his dog Stella. We had to do a little dog whisper session on him yesterday. So, I find out more about people about their dogs, and
I have a dog that could use a dog whisper. Yes,
you are. Are you walking the dog?
You know, we probably not as much as we should.
Every day, at least a half hour.
Yeah.
If that's not happening, you're going to get it.
There's probably many things that we should be doing for 30 minutes.
Are you feeding it cheeseburgers?
No. We watch what we feed it.
Let's get into wastewater. One of our favorite
Great
things.
Morning topic.
You are correct. Drink with your coffee. You guys took this plant over. It was handed to you right after the New Year.
Yes, January 3rd.
And we talked about one of the boogeyman things that came out of Pima County. If those dreaded hicks up in Marana take over a wastewater plant, they're going to raise your rates off the wall. Not like they're cheap in Pima County. I mean, right now my wastewater bill is like 28% higher than my drinking water bill. So,
well, yeah, that's just not true. It's I think scare tactics. Our town council and our staff, the rates are being proposed exactly the same as Pima County, so there's going to be no difference to what someone paid under Pima County's model than what Marana is going to be charging.
And are you guys finding that there are things in relation? How'd you find the plant? It was in good shape, bad shape?
We went in, and I first want to say, the Pima County staff, there's many good people over there that have done their job and tried to really do what they need to do to manage that plant. But what we have found is there's just incredible inefficiencies and just not really thinking about the use of the water. It seemed as if a lot of things were just put in out there just because they had a lot of money to be able to put it in.
In Monty Python, we call that the machine that goes bing.
Yeah. So in the last month and a half, 2 months, I mean, we've made a number of improvements to reduce costs. The town of Marana has an allocation of hydroelectric power, and we've applied that to the plant. And right off the bat, electricity is one of the biggest costs to operate one of those systems. We've been able to dramatically reduce, the overhead there. The county had assigned a large number of staff out there, and it's a small plant. It doesn't need to have as many people. So that's an area where we'll be able to have some savings in the future. So yeah, we're going through and making sure that we're managing it with best practices. The other thing is, the reason we wanted to be in the wastewater business is because of water. So Pima County is not in the water business, and for them, they just discharge the water, out into a park or to the Santa Cruz River. We are using that water as recharge, which helps save money on the water side of the equation. So that's where, this makes sense for us.
So you're bringing some of the gray water back in.
Well, we'll be, you'll take the water through the whole process, and then you can have recharge basins to be able to put it back into the aquifer, let it percolate back, in.
But do you have plans about processing the water to bring it in for irrigation? And
not at this time. As if we had a large enough plant and a large enough volume, yes, you could look at taking gray water and putting it, or effluent water and putting it back into a purple pipe system and take it to open space golf courses and other areas. But
so now, as a developer going up into Marana, and I want to do some development work, I can not only buy my water, but I can also flush it.
That's true. That's true.
I can go to one
can
place,
turn the faucet and flush it,
and I can go to one source to be able to make that happen.
We will be a one-stop shop, truly one-stop shop in North Marana. So you'll be able to get all your permits right in one location.
Now you've got the operating keys, but you don't have the ownership keys yet.
That is correct. The county would not turn over the permits that are associated with that.
Now, that's an ADEQ issue, is it not?
It is, and we're working closely with ADEQ.
Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. So I do a little backstory Joe here, so he's not here, so I got to do it. Keep going, I'm sorry. ADEQ permits, sorry.
And the idea is that you've got some money also that needs to change hands because there's a delta between what the value of the property is from the development costs. How are you determining what that net number needs to be?
Well, we're bringing in a forensic auditor to really start to look at the books and understand, because over the past number of years, we've received so many memos from the county with different numbers. I can't honestly tell you what the cost, true value of that plant or the debt that's associated with that plant. I've heard numbers into the 40 millions, 30 millions, 20 millions, the teens. Depending on the situation, we've heard so many different numbers. So we're going to bring in a group of professionals to actually uncover exactly what is assigned out at that plant.
And do you believe that after that number is put together, that's a number that you're going to be able to blend into the billing rates and to absorb without having a single assessment to the property tax holders?
Well, bottom line, we're going to make sure that our residents are not going to have any greater impact than what they currently have had with Pima County operations. So again, how we'll make this up if there is a delta is on the water side. We're not having to go out and buy as much, expensive water resources. We're able to take the water and recharge it, which gives us a credit, on the water side.
Fantastic. So you've thought this through all the way to the finish.
We actually have. We may be a small community up north, but we definitely we sit down and think through things. We strategize, and then we implement a plan.
Marana's it started 25 years ago with a smart plan of annexation and growth and proper planning, and you guys are starting to look like Huntsville, Alabama.
It's funny, I had a discussion about the Pima County bond thing with hubs and whatever, and someone said, it has to do with the chamber and stuff, and it was a business owner, and they said, we have to look at it right now. You guys are thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead. I'm like, yeah, that's what you got to do, man. If you're looking for results, you have to think that far ahead. So I'm surprised you guys are doing it. We're on the air with Gilbert Davidson, town manager of Marana. Let's go to the phones. Line number 2, he called 790-2040. Harry, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I was just going to say, when the Board of Supervisors appointed 7 of us to get the town of Marana going, the reason we started the town of Marana was exactly what they're always talking about: water. The city of Tucson had gone out into the Aber Valley, had bought up the farmlands for water. We realized that if we wanted to exist, we had to incorporate as a town. And we then annexed in across the Aber Valley later on. You have to remember, we were only 25 square miles when we started.
Well, self-defense.
Well, Harry, that is exactly that discussion continues today, and I've had the opportunity to meet some of your counterparts that helped to create the town of Marana way back in the day. Certainly, our mayor was there at the time, and they talk about the passion that they had back then about trying to save and protect their water resources. This whole effluent issue is just a continuation of that, and I think that Marana it'll be a model that I think certainly will be known around the region as how to best manage your water resources.
Harry, thanks for the great call. Thanks for the history lesson. Have a great day. 790-2040. We're going to do one more segment with Gilbert Davidson as he does his warm-up act for Donald Trump. So
Donald Trump, wow.
You never would have thought you'd be warming up for Donald Trump.
Thought?
So I could see him on Celebrity Apprentice. Him and Gary Busey opening up a deli or something. I could see it.
Have some meltdowns, drama.
All right, it's the Wake Up Tucson show. Rick Sturtz is doing a nice job filling in with Joseph. For Joseph, Ed Alexander is rocking some Frankie Lane. If you want to get in on the conversation, 790-2040. Donald Trump, supposedly in 15 minutes, so keep your fingers crossed.
An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and windy day.
Abel Francie has had the inside track on Tucson politics for over 20 years. Keep up, Saturday 1 to 4, only here on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
Dodge south of Rivers, by the old Blue Saguaro, as we used to call it. Remember the old Blue Saguaro?
Yeah, it was good pizza.
I always thought a Chicago pizza place called the Blue Saguaro was a little shaky for me. I just want to tell you
it was good pizza. They had a great oven. They made good pizza.
You are correct. 7:35 in the morning. Let's Sturtz wants to talk about his swimming lessons he's working on. So,
Chris. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a worthy project.
It's a worthy project. We've been working on...
we've banged on the city on this a little bit just because we have to have nice guys like yourself and Doug and business people come up to pay for things they should be paying for.
Well, Doug Martin and I got together with Richard Fimbres, and then City Council got behind the idea of bringing back the splash, which means opening up the 17 of the 27 public pools that have been closed for the last 2 years. And the only way that we could do that was to create a public-private partnership. And wanted to give some special thanks out to Nova Home Loans. John Volpe decided to come up, stepped up, and has donated a large sum of money he's become one of our Swimmers Champion sponsors, and we're very excited that Nova Home Loans, and he's going to be asking for other folks that are in the mortgage business to come up to do matching money for that. We need to get these pools open. We need to get kids off the streets this summer, get them tired, and they can stay out of mischief if they keep themselves busy. And just as a
in a nicer way, it's like walking your dog a half hour every day.
Well, there's 100,000 kids that use 10 of our pools right now. The 10 pools that of which those pools that are closed, 100,000 kids use those pools during the summer. Now I know that you've got your pool. You have no problem getting the Marana pools open. You've got no problem with funding those. It costs money to keep these pools closed, which is foolish. It's foolish money being spent. The public needs to get involved. Please go to the website, which is the TucsonParksFoundation.org, and you can give $1, $10, $100, or become one of our high diver champions. Chrissy Parham, which is the old Chrissy Amen-Leighton, two-time gold medalist, silver medalist from the 1996 Olympics, Barcelona, Spain. Is actually our spokesperson on this, and she put Tucson on the map and the U of A on the map when it comes to Olympic-level swimming, and she started her swimming in public pools.
That's great.
Arizona is the #2 state in the country in childhood drownings, and we need to get our pools open so we can get these kids trained. And it's good for the kids, it's good for our adults, it's good for our elderly. It's one of the only sports you can do that everybody at all ages can be involved in. So get out there and help us support this by going to the website of TucsonParksFoundation.org. Give us a few dollars. And again, special thanks to Nova Home Loans for a very large donation. We're looking for more.
All right, Donald Trump in 8 minutes. Ed's got the cell phone to the Donald helicopter.
I got the Donald right here.
So get ready.
Hey,
yes,
congratulations and thank you to Mr. Sturtz for the pool thing.
That was my first job as a lifeguard, so very important.
And Mr. Doug Martin of our station too.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Gilbert. Real quick, let's get into HB 2656 real quick. I think I got that number right. Usually, I never get those numbers correct, but this was the Terry Proud introduced piece of legislation.
I've heard about it.
Yes, I know you have. And what happens is that the Pima County, if there's bonds that are voted for and approved by the voters, and they want to make changes on it, right now, basically, you just need the 3 majority votes to change it to other things. What this piece of legislation is saying that you have these 6 municipalities that have property taxpayers in them, and if that's going to happen, we want a 1 vote per municipality majority to say, yes, we can do that.
I think the intent of the bill is when we talk about a regional bond program, let's create a truly regional bond program. And just like when the RTA was put together, there's one vote per jurisdiction, and that's been a great model where any decision, any change that has to be made goes back before that board, and they are very thoughtful. They may make some tweaks and modifications, but then they make a decision and we move on. So just like the RTA model, just like the Pima Association of Governments model of one vote per jurisdiction, that's how this came to be, I believe, in terms of creating a new regional bond oversight committee. So there is a bond advisory committee that the county has put together.
Right.
That in no way is affected or diminished or is taken away as part of this legislation. That committee can continue to exist. They do good work in terms of the representatives that come in and spend the time going through all of the proposals. They can continue to do that. But ultimately, in the end, it's making sure that we have oversight of if money was appropriated and approved by the voters to go to a project, it needs to go there, and there shouldn't be just pots of money that can be moved around depending on.
Well, one of the questions that you cleared up for me was the fact that in the PAG and RTA, which is funneling different monies, there's 8 different municipalities that are represented, and what's missing in this are the 2 tribes. And I asked you why weren't the 2 tribes included on this legislation? It's because they don't pay property tax.
Right. They don't pay property tax, so I don't think that they would need to vote on allocating property tax dollars that they're not contributing any dollars to. So,
it has brought up an issue that has been long festering in this county for a long time. And I don't know, you guys catching a lot of heat on this? You in Oro Valley?
Well, we certainly have. I mean, we've gotten some phone calls and stuff because the town has been trying to we want to talk regional. Let's have a truly regional dialogue and discussion. And whether this bill is approved or not, I think what's great is there is a lot of discussion that's going on. I think that a lot of people are starting to ask some good questions, and hopefully it'll lead to something down the road where we can really start to change things throughout the region.
Rickster?
Yeah, the big thing about bonds is that it shows up on your property tax bill 3 things down the list, and you're not really sure what it's for. And how it's sold is that we're going to build roads, and we're going to build buildings, and we're going to build this, and we're going to build that. And it doesn't, because people pay their mortgages, that actually is pay. You never see that thing. You never really care about it. It's paid out of escrow.
It's like going to Vegas with chips.
It's like going to Vegas with chips. It's not real money. Okay, so the public gets sort of lost in the whole story. So the story that's going to come out over the next couple of months when this $200 million bond package is, it's all going to be about jobs. We're going to build things. We're going to build new roads. We're going to be expanding. It sounds so positive, and then it gets lost in the number. But what the bigger number is, and then people just can't get lost in the idea that Pima County has got more bonding, more debt on it than the entire rest of the state combined. Mm-hmm. And that's a frightening thing as we're going into debt as a nation. So the bigger story is that how we study it, how we manage it, people get lost in that story. The bigger story out there is that we need to talk about how much waste is, how much manipulation that we've got in these millions and millions of dollars that are being tossed around. And when I just looked at this little story this morning that Josh Berdesky put together, he said that the estimate was not meant to be real. It was intended to entice voters. That means that we're going to lie to you about what we're going to use this money for. And that's what I think that the public needs to hear. So congratulations for you to at least get it out there. Take it to the state level, whether it succeeds or not. Thank you to you. Thank you to Terry Proud. And thank you to the supporters that put it behind it.
All right, Gilbert. Thanks for coming on. We'd love to have you on longer. We're getting ready for the Donald.
You've got the Dawn. I mean, that's awesome.
You are correct. Go to Marana.com if you want to find out more about what they're working on up there, different events that are going on. And, of course, Accenture Match Play is the crown jewel of the events going on right now in Marana. So good job.
Well, thank you very much.
Congratulations to you and your council. Great staff. Keep doing it. 7:43 in the morning. It's the Wake Up Tucson interview of the week, as we like to call it. I know we never had one before, but we'll have it now. We have Donald Trump. I think it's a little self-explanatory. He'll be on right after the break. Ed Alexander is going to call up the Trump copter.
I got it.
And
got right straight to the limo.
Yeah.
We'll be down there. He's on there.
So he'll be bouncing off that satellite, and it's going to make it right down to his limo.
We'll see if we can get some phone calls in. Can't promise it, but if you want to get on with the Donald, 790-2040. Wake Up Tucson. You're on 1030 The Voice.
Water.
Then can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for me and you?
Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
All right, 7:47 in the morning. You're on the Wake Up Tucson show, 790-2040. Let's go to the super terrific guest line. We have, as promised, Donald Trump on the line with Chris and Rick Sturtz. Donald, good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up Tucson show.
Good morning. My honor.
Hey, Rick is a little depressed about Cheryl Teague's getting fired. That's all.
I know a lot of people. Cheryl was having a hard time. Cheryl had a definitely hard time. She's up against some pretty tough hombres, and as you know, she sort of gave up. Didn't give up. She just said, I don't know. I just don't want to compete. It's sort of like some of our presidential candidates, right?
I would agree with that.
She just didn't want to compete. It's a terrible analogy, but let's use it anyway.
I miss Gary Busey. That's all I know.
He was great. With Meatloaf, one of the all-time great scenes. That was one of the best in the history of reality television, the scene with Meatloaf, right?
It's very appropriate you're calling about Governor Romney running for the presidency of the United States, because my co-host and I have talked about how when it looked like he was really becoming the front runner, and he still is kind of the front runner, don't get me wrong, there's always this ebb and flow. It seemed like the Obama administration had to get to a point, especially hammering on the Bain Capital thing, that the only thing we can do to this guy is demonize the entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's right, and hopefully they haven't succeeded in that. I will say, I've gotten to know him really well, and Mitt Romney's a great guy. He's going to do, I think, tremendously as a candidate, and he's going to do, really importantly, I think he's going to do really well against Obama and win, and I also believe he's going to be a great president, and that's why I decided to go this route.
Well, it feels like we need an adult running the economy.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice. I agree with you 100%. It would be nice. And, he's got a great record. And for a little while, he was tentative about wanting to speak because he didn't like to brag. Maybe he's the opposite of me. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Sure.
And he was, and that's a nice trait. That's not a bad trait. But he did a fantastic job. He'd take companies that were dying and make them into great companies. And that means jobs, and that means all sorts of education for the people that work there, and health care and everything. So, he did a fantastic job, and I think now he really is willing to speak about it openly, and what he did is a fantastic thing. And you're right, they tried to demonize him, and I don't think it worked.
Well, I don't think that demonizing success is a wise trait to do in a country like the United States.
Well, it's I will say they're trying, and they continue to try, and not only with him, with success generally, and there's a lot of class warfare stuff. Every time you see a speech on the other side, you see the class warfare all over the place. But I think in the end it's going to be very interesting because lots of things are happening. And, Obama has no power, no control, no respect from OPEC. And what they're doing to us now with the oil, and you see it big league out in Arizona because that's a big driving. You don't have lots of subways out there.
You are correct.
You're going to see it big league out there. And when oil hits $5 and then $6 a gallon, and maybe even more than that, because nobody in the White House knows what they're doing, and OPEC is just riding herd over us, I have a feeling that the Republican, and I think that's going to be Mitt Romney, is going to win the election.
Is this oil thing going to be a mixed blessing, or we're going to get hammered this summer?
Bad. Yeah, it's going to be a mixed blessing because it's going to be very, very bad for the economy, but I think it's going to be very good for the Republican candidate.
I used to be in the car wash and gas business, and every time the gas prices went up like they did in 2007 and 2008, what happened was that people stopped buying other things, and it's just when you start buying gas at $1 more a gallon, everything else goes away, and gas is a necessity. It's a driver of the economy.
Right, oil is the biggest driver, and people don't even realize it. And I'm the only one that I think has said it. But when we had our catastrophe like 4 years ago, when we had let's call it the depression, or I don't know if you even call it a mini depression. In some places, it was a full-blown depression.
You are correct.
But when we had our depression 4 years ago, I really believe it was fuel. Fuel went to $150 a barrel, and I really believe that had a bigger impact than the banks. They demonized the banks, and the banks did lots of bad things and lots of mistakes and everything else. And the biggest beneficiary of all of those bad moves in a bad way happened to be Arizona. If you look at Arizona and you look at Florida, different places. But the banks were bad. But I really believe that oil when it hit at $150. I really believe, that's the blood. That's the blood of the nation. And I really believe that had an even bigger impact. And it's happening again, slowly. They're greedy. They're greedy people. And, their streets are lined with gold. They live, they buy 747 airplanes. They buy a 747 as a private, okay?
Right.
It's like, serious stuff. And it's all because we allow it to happen. They wouldn't be there except for us, and we have nobody to call them up. One thing I'd do, if I were Obama, I'd be on that phone right now and say, "You're not going to do this to us a second time." And it's not the speculators. The speculators wish they had that kind of power. It's OPEC sitting around a table and fixing the price of oil.
When we talk about the amount of cash that's sitting on the sidelines right now and the companies that have moved offshore because the United States economy, this country is not the greatest environment to do business anymore. When you look at he wants to drop the corporate tax rate, close the loopholes, but then you still have the specter of Obamacare. What's the magic wand thing? If you get a Romney in there as president, what are the first four things that need to happen to make this environment the best for existing businesses and new entrepreneurs?
Right. Well, first of all, people don't have confidence in the country right now. I have a lot of friends. They're big investors. They have no heart. I don't even call them friends, but they have no heart, but they're geniuses. And they want to go to Brazil, and they want to go to China, and they want to go to India, and they want to go to other countries. I said, what about the United States? They don't even know what I'm talking about, okay?
Right.
They have no confidence in the United States, and they have no confidence in the leadership. And if Romney gets in, I will tell you that will change quickly. Number one, you'll start taking oil from our very precious ground, and carefully taking it, but you'll start taking energy out of ours. It's turned out over the last 4 or 5 years, we never thought we had it. We have so much energy, we won't know what to do with it, but we're not allowed to get it because of the environmental restrictions and lots of other things.
Look at Keystone, the Keystone pipeline.
The Keystone is ridiculous, absolutely. We don't even need Keystone, though, to be honest. We have so much of we don't need it from Canada either. I think it's great to have it. It's good. Do it. It's jobs. It's good. But you know what? We have so much under our ground, we don't even need it. But when Obama rejected that, I said, what is he doing politically? Because even for himself, everybody would. The unions wanted it. Everybody wanted it. And I guess a few environmentalists got to him, and he rejected it. But Mitt Romney would start off with China and get them to stop with the manipulation. And if they continue, he would do a number on them because he gets it.
Explain to the folks about the manipulation of the currency real quick.
Well, they've lowered their currency to a point that it's very, very hard for American companies to compete with Chinese products. So it's very hard to manufacture goods in this country because of the fact that the Chinese goods can come in so inexpensively. And what they've done by doing that is they've taken our jobs, they make our goods, they manipulated their currencies. And what they've done is by manipulating, they have built up a war chest that's unbelievable. And the incredible thing is, through manipulation, they take our money and then they loan it back to us and we pay them interest. The whole thing is ridiculous. He'd also focus on OPEC. But, when you start drilling and you start getting your own supplies, you wouldn't need to deal with OPEC so much. They maybe will start coming to you because there really is. There's an abundance of product. There's an abundance of oil and natural gas and other things that we have. I mean, they call us the Saudi Arabia of natural gas, and we don't take it.
Well,
there's so many things. The potential of this country is so enormous. It's so enormous if it could only be unleashed, but it's not being unleashed.
When you look at the reduction in the price of natural gas today as it was against 4 years ago, it shows that once you open up the taps, the price is going to go down.
Absolutely, it's going to go down, and there's so much of it. It shouldn't be a precious commodity because we have hundreds and hundreds of years of natural gas, and we don't even use it. We don't take it, and there's so many things that could be done. And again, we're sort of like the sleeping tiger, but unfortunately, we're still sleeping.
Now, Mr. Trump, you're still bullish on certain aspects of the United States. I know that. Congratulations, by the way, on getting the old post office building in Washington D.C.
That's great.
That's going to be a very successful project again, I'm sure. So you're still a little bullish on America. What other parts? You tried to do some development in Phoenix in Arizona several years ago. What was the pushback that kept you from being able to be successful in Phoenix?
Well, I got lucky. They didn't let me do it, and then the market crashed. Okay? So somebody would say, "Oh, you were brilliant. You predicted the market in Arizona." I said, "No, I didn't predict it. They wouldn't let me." The local community and the environmental groups didn't want me to build a building that would be, I guess it wasn't even tall, it was like 18 stories or something. It would have been really beautiful. I was going to do shopping and lots of other things. And basically, because of the fact the people that did ultimately do it, they just got clobbered. But because of the fact I didn't get it, the market crashed almost immediately thereafter, and I went, wow, that was a close one, because you know what, I'm good, but when the market crashes, it doesn't help. It doesn't matter if you're good or not.
So this is one time
I got very lucky, but don't tell people I got lucky. Just say to people that I'm a great sage, that I predicted this failure. And but I got out of that one unscathed. I was very lucky.
Hey, Donald, I got one more question for you. I want you to do one more push for Mitt, and then I got a favor to ask you at the end, okay?
Sure.
Tourism, because you're a guy who does hotels and this type of thing. We are a very tourism-driven town here in Tucson.
Great golf courses.
Absolutely. Just don't get in the cactus like Tiger did yesterday.
Right. That's right. You have a big one going on right now. That's true.
What's your outlook on tourism the next year or so?
Well, I think it's good. You know, the beauty is that people want to be in this country. They love this country. They want to be here. Places like Tucson are incredible. I go there. I love the golf in Tucson. I love the weather, and I love the golf, and it's just great. You know, I'm trying to buy Doral right now. I'm I guess the finalist for Doral in Miami, and that'll be terrific. So you know, people. So obviously, I feel because you'll have your ups and you'll have your downs, but ultimately, people want to be in this country, and they want to be in places like Tucson because what's going to beat it? There's nothing like it.
All right, I'm going to ask you the favor first.
Go ahead.
We're in the middle of a big election coming up for the Pima County Board of Supervisors here in Tucson. Very not very pro-business.
Right.
And we have this one key race, and I need you to say a person's name and you're fired. Would you be willing to do something like that for me?
Okay, is the person a Democrat
yes.
or a Republican?
Democrat.
Okay, what's the person's name?
Sharon Bronson.
Okay, are you ready? Is she going to win or is she going to lose?
She's going to lose. We're going to make sure she loses.
All right. Sharon, you haven't done a good job. We're not satisfied with the work you're doing. You're fired.
There we go. Thank you very much. Let's finish off with a mitt push.
Well, I just think he's a terrific guy, and he's a nice guy, too. But he's a terrific guy, and I think he'll be a great candidate, and I think he'll be a great president.
Awesome. Hey, Donald, thank you for coming on. I don't know if we'll ever get you on again, because I could talk about this stuff with you all day long.
Well, it's very interesting, and you have a great show. Take care. I'll see you in Tucson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Donald.
All right, there it is. Donald Trump calling in from the Trump copter, or wherever he was calling us from, but... good conversation. Covered it all, man.
That was fantastic.
So, you know, we touched tourism. Sturtsy brought in the Scottsdale development. And, you know, what I wanted to tell him when he said it was, you know, what did he say, 18 stories?
18 stories. On Candleback Road.
Yeah, what is 18 stories in that area? That's like... I guess the Salt River got away with it at the Talking Stick.
That's exactly. Yeah, they did. But the problem was the neighbors. And again, the neighbors got in the way. And
this isn't Sam Hughes' neighborhood.
This is one time where you can thank the Greenies for saving Donald Trump's life.
Sturtsy, thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome.
Great job, everyone. Ed, thank you. Have a great time at rodeo.
KVOI, Cortero, Tucson, 930 KAPR Douglas, and 1240 KJAA Glow, the Voice Radio Network.